Hi guys! Missed it. Hello everyone and welcome to my 1,000 subscriber slash 1,500 subscriber celebration video. I'm very excited about this. I didn't expect it to happen quite the way it did, and then suddenly here we are. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed, everyone who's become part of this community over the past nearly 4 years now. And so I wanted to kind of celebrate and kind of give you a little bit of a different video this week. Today we're doing a Q&A. Now, I did ask on Twitter and in my Discord for questions. I've got a few to go through. We'll go through the questions and then I'll kind of discuss a little bit more about, you know, plans going forward, because I feel like some of these questions are relevant to things that will be coming up, etc. So what's your favorite video game series is question number one. I've got to be honest, I don't really have favorites because I feel like I change my opinion far too frequently and I'm far too flippant. I don't like this already. This is going badly. I fucking love this game. To be able to say like one franchise rules them all, in my opinion. Other people can probably say it straight away. I feel like that's not the case. One thing I will say though is one that has quickly become a solid one for me that I really enjoyed and I feel has been really, really beneficial for the channel as like bringing in new interest and stuff like that is God of War. So I've played 1, 2, 3, Ascension and 2018. I haven't played Ragnarok yet. I do intend to get round to that eventually, but the games just really, they helped me define my content at a time where I wasn't 100% certain where I was going with it. And so I'm really happy that I got that experience. And also the games are really great. Kratos is a really interesting character, especially with the more recent entries to the saga. And so yeah, I really loved it and I'm very excited to get more God of War content going forward. So I would say God of War is one of my more favorite series of late, and it definitely deserves one of the top slots, if not the top. I also had a question, and this is quite interesting because we've just started a Dragon Age Let's Play. Literally 10 minutes I finished the first stream as of recording this. I had a question: what are your default origins for Commander Shepard in Mass Effect and the Warden, Hawk, Inquisitor in the Dragon Age games? Now, I really like the Spacer background for Shepard because it gives a little bit of that military kind of knowledge and it feels a little bit more fitting to me for Shepard. And then the Soul Survivor one is just because it, you know, a little bit of trauma, never hurt anyone, right? That's very much solidly what I generally go for with Shepard. I've played Mass Effect 1 quite a few times, not so much the second and third game, funnily enough, but I think it's where I start and then I don't get through 1 again and again and again. Anyway, the Warden, now it's funny because I was just talking about this in the stream that I was just playing. The Warden, I typically pick male human mage because I really love the mage starting experience. I think it's a really interesting one, and I think it gives a lot of insight into the lore of the world. Not saying that others don't, but I think the mages are so centric to what happens with the Darkspawn and everything. So I think it's really interesting that way. It also gives a little bit of an interesting dynamic between the main character and Morrigan as well. As for Hawk and the Inquisitor, I couldn't tell you when I went the first time I played that game. It's been so long and I really don't remember much. Was there a scene in the game that shook you or made your jaw drop because you weren't prepared for it? So it's funny because if you go back to a few streams ago, my Horizon Forbidden West one, there is a character death that happens, but there's something that is informed to you after that. There's a character death and then you get more information about what's happened as regards another character who was, you know, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, another character gives you some information about that kind of informs how the story is going to go regarding that character going forward. And I was shook. I literally, my jaw was dropped, or like literally dropped. I couldn't believe it. So that was like shock as in like, wow, I was actually like the drama, the suspense. But then another one that did that to me, but in the kind of sheer bombasticity of it, was the opening of Bayonetta. What the frick? I literally did not know where to put myself, like crazy. Are you kidding? What's happening here? What? I can't even tell what's happening anymore. Genuinely have so few words. I think Bayonetta has that edge of like pomp that just like is just so, it's different. It's so campy in like a great way, right? So definitely those two for me in the two kind of ways, the anticipation and the kind of like, what the frick am I watching? What is your favorite game you've played so far and why? So again, favorites are very hard for me. So I've managed to narrow it down to 2. FF16 was a great experience for me on the channel. I feel like it was a point where I started to really shift how I was doing my content, and it's some of the streams for FF16 like hit some of the highest videos I've had in a long while. So I really was loving that game. I think it's got a really great story. I want to go back and do the DLCs at some point as well whenever we get chance. Love Clive as a character and like the story there and the voice acting and The gameplay was really fun. It did like start to like at the end I was starting to wane slightly, but looking back and having done FF7 Rebirth since then, it didn't feel like a slug at all compared to FF7 around that mark. Oppositely, the other one that I think was one of my favorites was Jedi Survivor for similar reasons, but also because it was a game that I felt I'd been anticipating for so long, and I got to really enjoy this gorgeous little weekend where I just played it and everyone was like, you know, people were hanging out in chat and we had loads of fun, and I really did enjoy that. So that was my other one. I think it's weird because I think when you stream or when you make videos around games, your experience is not only necessarily tailored to the game, but how people respond to the game, how you interact with people, how you've developed that content, so to speak, as well. So I think I have fond memories of those games, not only because of the game itself, but of the circumstances surrounding playing those games. What upcoming game are you most excited for? So as of this video, tomorrow, Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail is entering early access, which is for 3 days, and then the expansion actually launches on the 1st. And so I'm very excited for that. I'm recording, in fact, so late tonight because that's out tomorrow, and I want to get this to my editor, before then, so that, you know, you guys have a steady stream of content even when I'm enthralled in another MMO expansion. So that one is like definitely there. But the other one, which ironically is another thing that we've discussed, is Dragon Age Veilguard, which is why I'm going through and playing Dragon Age Origins 2 and Inquisition, because I want to get ready for Veilguard and have that kind of world state ready in my head for when we play Veilguard. And also Star Wars Outlaws, which I'm hoping to get a few days off so we can do something similar to what I was just saying as regards Jedi Survivor. So hopefully that one looks really fun. Unsure because Ubisoft can go either way with their games, but very excited for all 3 of those. If you could pick 3 games to play over and over while every other game will be destroyed forever, what would they be? Again, so I answered this in 2 ways, because I think one way is a cheating way, and I think the other way is probably more accurate to what it would be. The first way would be I'd save 3 MMOs, which would be Star Wars The Old Republic, Final Fantasy XIV, and World of Warcraft. Those are the 3 that I've played the most of, and the reason I'd save them is because it would just mean that I wouldn't get sick of gaming relatively quickly, because I'd have like a lot of things that I could do within those games, as opposed to like if you pick like Hellblade, for example, just off the top of my head, a game that's relatively short, 7 hours and you're done. So if you have to play that for the rest of your life, you're going to play Hellblade a hell of a lot more than you would like going through the entire story of World of Warcraft or Star Wars The Old Republic or Final Fantasy. That was my cheaty way to kind of like max amount of hours. Another one that could probably fit into that category if you were doing it that way was something like The Witcher, but I didn't want to go with a single player game in this instance because I felt like probably having some communication in the games would probably be fun too. Second way, and this is more accurate, but I did put a spin on it of what games would be so integral to me being who I am today that I would keep them because of that. So I might not actually be so enthused to play these games over and over again, but they're the games that I feel like would be necessary to exist for me to turn out as I have. So Pokemon Emerald was one of my biggest, most exciting, like I used to love playing that on the Game Boy. It makes me want to get my Game Boy out and play it, my DS even, maybe. Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, and the reason that one is because first of all we played it on the channel, which is it was a really fun video to go back and replay that, but also because I really have this memory of when I was younger, my mum, I couldn't do the jousting level and I really needed help. My mum helped me, and it feels like that stuck with me, and I feel like that's one of like my young gaming moments, so that always sticks with me. And Knights of the Old Republic, because that was one of my first introductions to a Star Wars game, and I feel like it's such a pivotal experience in like gaming in general. But if I was going to add a fourth to substitute KOTOR, it would be Star Wars Battlefront on the PSP, because that was the game that actually got me into Star Wars for the first time. So that would maybe swap with KOTOR depending on, again, I'm giving so many conditionals, but I feel like you guys get to know a little bit about me when I give conditionals. You guys get to know a little bit about my life, so there you go. Are you excited for the Captain America game? So that's the one with Captain America and Black Panther. And yes, I am. The one thing I will say is that we've only seen like footage right now. It's all in engine, so it looks really good, but we've not seen gameplay. And gameplay, you know, is as important as story. To me, I put more of a 60-40, 65-35 split on gameplay versus story. Story versus gameplay, should I say. Like story, if it's a really good story, I don't really care. I'll deal with the combat, you know? But yeah, definitely excited for the game. I love Captain America. I love Black Panther. They're both really great characters. And seeing younger Captain America and the kind of grandfather of T'Challa in Black Panther is going to be really interesting. And I can't wait to see how they do it. I can't wait to see what kind of story they tell with it as well. And what kind of villain they're going to have. Is it going to be a lot more grounded? Is it going to actually just be like kind of some kind of Hydra boss? Or is it going to be Red Skull? Or is it going to be something a little bit more fantastical by the time you get to the end of the game? Who knows? If you had the funding and the staff, and resources, what kind of game would you make? I'm pretty lucky because a lot of the franchises that I enjoy, Star Wars, Marvel, are getting games in one way or another at certain points, right? They might not be the best games, but I feel like I've had my fantasy. Like, for example, Marvel's Avengers. Yes, the game flopped eventually, but did I get to play as Captain America, Black Widow, the Hulk, Hawkeye? Yes, you know, I've had those experiences. Even stuff like Dune. They're bringing out a Dune like MMO survival game. So generally, you know, I don't have many qualms with the games that are coming out. But what I will say, like, I feel really strongly about this is Midnight Suns. Now, I played this on the channel on Twitch, but I didn't actually make a playthrough of it. But yeah, I would want a sequel to Midnight Suns because I think Midnight Suns really was a fun game, and I think a lot of people didn't play it because it was a card game, or because of, you know, it looks boring. And like, I get it because Marvel is like meant to be action packed and it's comic-y, and the game was a lot more slow paced, but I really enjoyed it. And I would, if I could just do it for myself and the small core fan base of that game, I would 100% make a Midnight Suns 2, 100%. My favorite Late to the Party Pride of Game Pass episode. So I think it's very straightforward for Late to the Party. It's Hitman. It's a game that I've always wanted to get around to. It's actually one of the games that got me into making content to a degree because I watch a lot of RT Game. I also watched a lot of Call Me Kevin, and they have some great videos regarding Hitman, and that was like such a fun, like, I could do that. I could be stupid playing a game. Like, not, maybe stupid is the wrong word, but I could be silly playing a game. But I really have enjoyed Hitman. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to keep doing those for Late to the Party. Pride of Game Pass is harder because I feel like so many of those games that we've played are okay, not great. And I think that's kind of the point of it. It's meant to be like kind of like, let's go through these games and see what's kind of good and what's not. And sometimes you have to sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. But I will say, just because of how visually forward it is, and because of the story it tries to tell, and because it's Norse mythology, Hellblade does kind of eke it out for me. I really have enjoyed Hellblade when I've played it. I do need to get around to finishing that and then move on to the second game. But yeah, I'd say Hellblade for that one. Is there a game you wish you hadn't played on the channel? So not necessarily one that I wish I hadn't played, but one that I wish I was more prepared for. Fallout. We did it recently, and I just kind of like jumped in head first, and the stream wasn't set up, and I was kind of disappointed in the video, and I didn't get to upload the stream because I nearly doxed myself. So like, if I was to do it again, I'd be a bit more prepared for Fallout. So I would definitely do that in a better way if I were to do it again. What would you have done differently content-wise apart from Fallout? I would have started uploading my streams to YouTube a lot sooner. I think I'd have probably already been over 1,000 videos if that was the case. Now, I don't think I think I'm kind of glad I didn't do it right away, but I would have liked to have done it maybe a year earlier than I did, because I think there's some games that we played through on Twitch almost fully that would have been really fun to have as VODs to go back and watch. Now, don't get me wrong, I think my quality has gone from like here to here in that year, so I don't think the quality of my YouTube would have been any better because of those streams necessarily, but I think it would just be really nice to see that and be able to go back to some of those streams, and I think it would have been really cool to have those like streams to go back and watch, you know? What's your next goal? So funnily enough, I just mentioned one. It is the 1,000 videos on this channel. Now I'm doing 1,000 videos across my channels first, which we're getting very close to. We're at 972 I think across the 3 channels, but Peralta's Place is 745 right now. My goal was to try and get it by the end of the year. I don't think I'm going to get that, to be honest with you. We could, but I don't see us doing 200 videos, and like, that's a lot. You'll be doing more than there is days left of the year. So I don't see that happening this year, but probably next. More immediate goals is watch time now. So now that we've hit over 1,000 subscribers, monetization is something that I'm looking forward to. I'm really excited about. I want to start, you know, having this channel, even if it's a modest profit, it's something that's exciting to me. It's something that, like, not something necessarily it's going to turn into a career overnight, but it's something that I'd like to do. You know, it's something I'd like to see prosper. So that's happening right now. We're on about 1,800 right now, but watch time is about 5 days behind. So I'm thinking we're probably already on about 2,000, and you know, we'll keep pushing another 2,000 before I can get fully monetized. And more reviews. I want to do more reviews of games. I'm really going to try and do that with newer games coming out. And then shorts. I keep saying this. I want to get more shorts out. It's something that's really fell by the wayside. I really want to do more of them. It's just there's so much. There's a lot of like I have to do the don't have to, but I do the editing for my shorts because I have like a little setup for them, and also because I think you've got to measure it, right? Like I'd like to get everything edited. You know, my editor's great. Hi, editor. But like, you know, you've got to be feasible within your means. And I like buying games. I like playing games. I like going out and doing stuff. So like, I don't want to spend all my money just necessarily specifically on content. You know, I've got to live as well. So one day I'd probably love to kind of outsource that as well. It feels kind of meh to ask if anyone wants to timestamp something that's really funny and let me know about it, and I will make those into shorts. Finding sometimes the content that's funny is half the battle. So if anyone ever wants to do that, I really do appreciate it. You don't understand how much that would mean, but if you don't, like, don't worry about it because I'll get there. You know, it's just a matter of like, if you wanted to, it's there, right? Why did you start the channel? I think this is the final question. I think it's probably the most important question. Why did I start this channel? So I started this channel during COVID. I think I've told this story before, but I started it during COVID because I felt lost. I just finished university. I didn't know what was going to happen in my life next, and I wanted some purpose. So I started the channel. Initially, it was for fun. Since then, it's become something so much more, and now it's about a lifestyle for me. This is how I enjoy my free time. This is how I enjoy consuming games. This is how I enjoy making friends, meeting new people, and obviously, hopefully, eventually, maybe way down the line, I would like to see this as potentially, if not a full career, something that can kind of bring a little extra income, you know, something that allows me to keep buying the games that I want to buy whilst I put my other money aside for savings on a house or, you know, etc., right? So that, but it's always been something I've wanted to do on some level, because I'm a creative person by nature. I've always loved reading. I've always loved writing. I've always loved drawing, all that type of stuff. I think this was just like a natural progression for me, because I actually made this channel back in like way before I actually started putting like videos up on here. I think like 2014 or something. And I actually was for a bit doing a few Doctor Who stop motion videos. I got rid of them all later on, but I really distinctly remember it. And I remember some people at the time actually liking them quite a bit. And then I did try Twitch a few years prior as well, when I didn't really have the hardware then. I tried streaming to Twitch. I forget what it was under, whether it was Peralta or whether it was something else, but I was playing Hearthstone. It was a really embarrassing video. I'm very glad I got rid of that too, but it's always been something I wanted to do. I think I've dabbed my toes in a few times and then kind of jumped away from it, but I'm really glad to be I've gotten so stuck into it now, because I don't think I can imagine my life without this. So yeah. Saying that, that's the end of the Q&A, end of the questions that I got. If you guys have any more questions in the comments, throw them down there and I'll answer them in the comments for like the first few years if I can. Otherwise, if you are wanting to join the horde of people that have recently subscribed to the channel, feel free to do so. And guys, thank you so much for everything. It really does mean a lot. You know, we're moving towards some really big goals this year, and I've always said, I had said at the beginning of this year, 2024 is going to be the year. It looks like it might be, and that's so exciting. It's so gratifying. And you honestly don't know what it means to me. Whilst you're here as well, I should probably maybe plug my other channels. If you're interested in nerd stuff, which I assume most of you are if you're into gaming, reviews on shows, TV, movies, TV shows, comic books, board games sometimes, check out For What It's Nerd. That's my podcast. Not always just a podcast. It does have some other videos on there as well, but primarily a podcast. And if you're in for a little bit more of a quiet time, Murmured Mythos, which is my ASMR channel now. I know a lot of people balk at that. Don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like you have to go over there and subscribe. It's just something I do that is like a little bit more of like to relax people, to relax myself a little bit as well. But also to talk about things that I feel like I couldn't necessarily talk about anywhere else. It's a little bit of like a self-help, motivational, ASMR kind of thing. I really enjoy it. It's one of the things I started last year. It's just coming up on a year for that too. And I love my channels. I love everything I do. I you know, sometimes it stresses me out with the schedule I keep, but you know, sometimes you've got to make those changes, you've got to make those pushes if you want to do the things you care about. And that's what I'm doing right now, and hopefully it works out. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. I hope you have a great week. If you don't see much from me this week, it is because I'm playing Dawntrail. And yeah, we're back soon with more content. Let's move on to the next phase of Peralta's Plays. Guys, thank you so much, as always. And I'll see you later.